All right. Hola.
Hola.
Buenos dias.
Buenos dias.
So let's go ahead and pick up with economic integration and economy, that topic. So let's go ahead and look a little bit deeper into economy and how it got this way. So let's kind of start with the conquest and how the Spanish got onto the mainland and right around that time, and a little bit regarding what happened with the U.S. and the Spanish-American War, because that has a lot to do with the economy, really, for this area. Okay, so do you recall what century the Spanish-American War did happen in? The 1800s. The 1800s, the very end of the 1800s, and very early 1900s. So that's the turn of the century. And do you recall the date that the U.S. came in and took Guam from the Spanish during the Spanish-American War? That was 1898. Good. Very good. So that's a good date to hang on to, because here, this also, right around in the 1800s, the Spanish-American War was going on in the Pacific, and it was also going on here too. So Mexico in the 1800s became a nation, and there was the Monroe Doctrine, where the United States was involved and stopped the spread of, the Spanish had occupied this part of the United States, which the Spanish-American War settled that this would be the border of the United States, and Mexico became Mexico, and I believe Cuba became independent at that point from Spain, and the United States took over Puerto Rico. And so, economically speaking, now we have the U.S. and its borderland set, and Mexico and its borderland set. And we had talked about the hacienda system that was an economic system in place in Mexico and also in the 7 republics. These republics also became independent, and many of them were Spanish-speaking now because of the Spanish influence that was there. And we also talked about how there were many other European groups that came in to these islands right around that time too. So you have a lot of different European influence. And mostly the economic system in place here would be the plantation system. And so the economic system here in place here, more the hacienda system. So you have these small island states. These small island states that had been colonized, many of them, now have African populations, as the slaves had been brought in at that time to work the plantations. Many of them are dependencies of European and U.S. Colonial powers. Even after becoming independent, they remain often economically dependent. Why? Well, here in Guam, we understand that quite well, as small island states are often hard to defend, and they're located, water bodies, very small water bodies with smaller populations in places where are accessible to other peoples coming in, and yet economically it can be very difficult for a small island state to find resources, especially after the colonial power that had come into the place came in, and let's say plantations were instituted, and as we had spoke of earlier, deforestation often occurred before the plantation could be put down, and you have an incoming peoples, the African peoples that were brought in. And so the native peoples are no longer there, the native peoples that were there. So this can make it very difficult economically, as you can see, because The political structure can be a little bit challenging when you become independent from another overseas group. So that's a challenge, which makes it economically challenging too at the same time. Because now also the resources, it's very different having that plantation system in place now. So you have a peoples that are brought in, the native peoples that knew the lands very well, not there. And then at the same time, you have the resources that were there, the lands, pretty much erased, and then plantations instituted, often. Not on every island, but lots of islands had the plantation systems. So you can see that economic integration, and so it's very fragmented politically, and so there is integration is happening slowly, and many of these small island states and places, the Greater Antilles, the Lesser Antilles here, and these 7 republics, and Mexico, they tried to become more integrated economically. Now we know that NAFTA has occurred between the United States and Mexico and Canada. There's something called CAFTA. CAFTA is acronym Caribbean American, Central American. Free trade, that's what I like, you guys. That's what you're here for, to bring it. And so, Central American Free Trade Agreement. And so, we have CARICOM also. Do you happen to know CARICOMs?
Caribbean community. The Caribbean community.
Okay. Caribbean, is there an acronym? Oh, Caribbean American or Caribbean, okay. CARICOM, it's CARICOM anyway. You can Google that. So CARICOM is another one of the agreements now, and these, they're growing. So economic integration is happening, but it's slow. And really, it's not a whole lot of time since the turn of the century for economic integration and growth to occur for these places where it's been a challenge. Okay, that's enough for this subject. Thank you.